Hello, and welcome back to my vlog, The Adventures of Colonel Daniel Boone. We continue here with part 4, where they were getting superior in their skills. On the first day of January 1778, I went with a party of 30 men to the Blue Licks on Licking River to make salt for the different garrisons in the country. On the 7th day of February, as I was hunting to procure meat for the company, I met with a party of 102 Indians and 2 Frenchmen on their march against Boonesboro, that place being particularly the object of the enemy. They pursued and took me and brought me on the 8th day to the Licks, where 27 of my party were, 3 of them having previously returned home with the salt. I, knowing it was impossible for them to escape, capitulated with the enemy, and at a distance in their view, gave notice to my men of their situation with orders not to resist, but surrender themselves captives. The generous usage the Indians had promised before in my capitulation was afterwards fully complied with, and we proceeded with them as prisoners to Old Chillicothe, the principal Indian town on Little Miami, where we arrived, after an uncomfortable journey, in very severe weather, on the 18th day of February, and received as good treatment as prisoners could expect from savages. On the 10th day of March following, I and 10 of my men were conducted by 40 Indians to Detroit, where we arrived the 30th day, and were treated by Governor Hamilton, the British commander at that post, with great humanity. During our travels, the Indians entertained me well, and their affection for me was so great that they utterly refused to leave me there with the others, although the governor offered them 100 pounds sterling for me, on purpose to give me a parole to go home. Several English gentlemen there, being sensible of my adverse fortune and touched with human sympathy, generously offered a friendly supply for my wants, which I refused with many thanks for their kindness, adding that I never expected it would be in my power to recompense such unmerited generosity. The Indians left my men in captivity with the British at Detroit, and on the 10th day of April brought me towards Old Chillicothe, where we arrived on the 25th day of the same month. This was a long and fatiguing march through an exceeding fertile country, remarkable for fine springs and streams of water. At Chillicothe I spent my time as comfortably as I could expect, was adopted, according to their custom, into a family where I became a son, and had a great share in the affection of my new parents, brothers, sisters, and friends. I was exceedingly familiar and friendly with them, always appearing as cheerful and satisfied as possible, and they put great confidence in me. I often went a-hunting with them, and frequently gained their applause for my activity at our shooting matches. I was careful not to exceed many of them in shooting, for no people are more envious than they in this sport. I could observe, in their countenances and gestures, the greatest expressions of joy when they exceeded me, and when the reverse happened, of envy. The Shawanese king took great notice of me, and treated me with profound respect and entire friendship, often entrusting me to hunt at my liberty. I frequently returned with the spoils of the woods, and as often presented some of what I had taken to him, expressive of duty to my sovereign. My food and lodging was, in common with them, not so good indeed as I could desire, but necessity made everything acceptable. I now began to meditate an escape, and carefully avoided their suspicions, continuing with them at Old Chillicothe until the 1st day of June following, and then was taken by them to the salt springs of Sciotha, and kept there, making salt 10 days. During this time I hunted some for them, and found the land for a great extent about this river to exceed the soil of Kentucky, if possible, and remarkably well watered. When I returned to Chillicothe, alarmed to see 450 Indians of their choicest warriors, painted and armed in a fearful manner, ready to march against Boonesboro, I determined to escape the first opportunity. On the 16th, before sunrise, I departed in the most secret manner, and arrived at Boonesboro on the 20th, after a journey of 160 miles, during which I had but one meal. I found our fortress in a bad state of defense, but we proceeded immediately to repair our flanks, strengthen our gates and posterns, and form double bastions, which we completed in 10 days. In this time we daily expected the arrival of the Indian army, and at length one of my fellow prisoners, escaping from them, arrived, informing us that the enemy had an account of my departure and postponed their expedition 3 weeks. The Indians had spies out viewing our movements, and were greatly alarmed with our increase in number and fortifications. The grand councils of the nations were held frequently, and with more deliberation than usual. They evidently saw the approaching hour when the long knife would dispossess them of their desirable habitations, and anxiously concerned for futurity, determined utterly to extirpate the whites out of Kentucky. We were not intimidated by their movements, but frequently gave them proofs of our courage. Didn't know that he had been taken up by an Indian family. So, we leave them anticipating attack. What will happen? We'll find out. Make it a great day, and bye for now.